Okay, on today's video, we're going to cover shopping campaigns, and specifically having to do with optimizing your product feed, images, and the descriptions. Or should I say, ultimately the elements that you have in the product feed in general, so that you can get a big time difference on the amount of money that you're making on your shopping campaigns. 2 to 5 times, typically more money than most people are able to make without these things. So I'm going to go over what these things do, and then if you're doing well already with shopping, you should be able to do 2 to 5 times better just by using the information in this video itself. And if you're not making money from your shopping campaigns yet or are wondering why, this video is going to tell you how you can definitely do that. So we're going to talk about raising shopping campaign ROI overall here in the way that I do it on all the shopping campaigns that I run. Okay? So anyway, I have a short list of things here that if you follow these things, basically it's impossible not to get a shopping campaign working. You've got something marketable to sell, of course, that being the first and foremost requirement about any of the strategies that I teach. I'm going to explain how to raise the ROI that you're naturally going to get doing the typical stuff that most people do, if you will, and bringing it up to the overkill but super, super profitable campaigns that you can run there with shopping. Most people in e-commerce, by the way, if you didn't know already, know that shopping campaigns are extremely profitable. Generally speaking, they're more profitable than search campaigns for most people because they're so much easier to run, and they're algorithmically driven more so than the search campaign ads are. When you compare the two, they read your product, Google reads your product feed, they decide what products and what ads should show up for what terms and for what keywords that the person's searching, and the traits that that person individually has, and so on and so forth. Through the machine learning algorithm, they test you out in a bunch of different locations where your ads can show in your market, read the feedback of what they get from those when they have your ads show up there, compare you to everybody else that's been there in the past, and then identify whether or not you get to stay there or you'll be shown more or less. And so everything is about the feedback and the algorithm and how they identify and grade, if you will, the feed that you have, but you have a lot more control over it than you think. And just uploading your product feed directly to Google Merchant Center and then setting up a shopping campaign, and you're done. So anyway, how do you raise the ROI? So there's the three biggest factors that go into shopping campaign ROI to raise your ROI on our list here for number one is your images, your product images that you can actually upload in your feed, that ultimately the product, the way that it's shown on Google search in the shopping box that normally shows up there. The prices that you have with the product, so obviously that's not a variable that you can change per se, but it is, or should consider it, ultimately, because one little change on your price can greatly affect how much money you're going to make from your shopping, and I'll explain why. And of course, the keywords that you have with the shopping campaign. So you're saying, whoa, hang on a second. Keywords? I thought shopping campaigns don't have keywords. Of course, they have negative keywords, so that's not even what I'm talking about here either. Keywords, what I'm referring to here is the words that are on the landing page that you take people to. Part of the way that the algorithm works is it, of course, looks at your feed, but then it also looks at the destination or final URL that you are assigning to each product to be marketed in your product feed. The algorithm looks at your page, at least initially, of course, especially, I should say, and identify what that page is about and what terms that your product should show up for, whether more or less. And the more descriptive you get on that shopping feed in terms of lacing it with keywords, you can think of it similar to how SEO used to work with keyword stuffing, even though keyword stuffing is a negative term or derogatory term. It's relevant here as if you have a very poor or weak or thin description on your product pages, you can improve that by increasing the amount of explanation that you're doing, and then naturally up the amount of keywords that you'd like your ads to show up for in the shopping and ultimately get more impressions from the places that you should be that would be profitable to you, and therefore, or in the places that would get a normal, higher ROI, the long tail keywords, if you will, that you want to show up for because you know you would get a higher ROI, but putting those on the page, you can usually get a lot more from your campaign. So those are the 3 things you mainly are going to focus on. These 3 things, by optimizing them, is going to increase your click-through rate that you're getting on those shopping campaigns. And normally an average click-through rate on a shopping campaign would be like 2%, By optimizing these 3 things, or just actually spending any kind of focus on it at all, because 90% plus people are going to give a damn essentially and do anything with this, which means this is just really ripe and ready for the taking for you. You can get upwards of 5% click-through rate on your ads. And if you do that, and if you're really wondering if you are, a lot of people of our clients ask me, why are we showing up for this particular search for our shopping ads? And why is it that our competitor is showing up 3 or 4 or 5 times in the 8-pack and the shopping 8-pack there? It's normally there for where the shopping ads actually show up. And the answer is mostly the click-through rate on the ads. What was there? Was it actually getting a high click-through rate above 2%, approaching 5%? And if you get a high click-through rate, not only will they show you more frequently there, more closer to 100% of the time versus less than that. And of course, search impression shares is the term associated with how many times for a particular search your ad can show up. But also, you can actually get shown multiple times if you're like closer to the 5% range. And so how do you optimize that? And obviously being shown 3 or 4 times for a profitable term, that can 5x your ROI just right there. But how do you actually do that? It's not quite as simple as just wishing it into existence. Of course, you have to put a little bit of effort into it. As far as your images go, what you should definitely do, go and look first of all at your competitors that are showing up multiple times. What are they doing? On top of that, and I'm talking about the shopping 8-pack there, make a few searches in your market and look at which ads that are showing up more. What are they doing different with their imagery itself? And overall, what is everybody doing so that you can do something different? Ultimately, can you put shadowing on your products? Can you actually show what I call lifestyle image? So basically the product being used. If it's a tent, instead of a white background, you would show it, basically out, in an actual environment being used in the woods or whatever. If it's an actual product that has motion, maybe you add some action elements around the product image. If it's a product that's like a nail or a screw, you can show the size next to it, 3 inches by 4 inches. And now, if the other ads don't have it, that's going to immediately pick up your click-through rate. It's not something that you can do, but it's all about being different. Being better means being different. And then on top of that, there's certain things that people are going to be naturally drawn to. So what you can do is you can actually split test. If you don't have shadowing out, try it out. See if you get a higher click-through rate. If you do, stick with it. Then try something else. Find out what your market wants to see. Your prices. Again, look at what everybody else has. What is the prices? You may have MAP pricing. You may not be able to do anything, but if you can, lower your prices a little bit. Lower the shipping so that you price plus shipping are the cheapest. Even if you're just 5% cheaper than everybody else that's showing there, you might increase your sales by double. Just that one little factor. So you should test the pricing if you can do it. But if you get the images and the pricing, since those are the 2 most important things by far that determine whether or not your ad's going to get shown a lot or a little, you can get that 5x in terms of return or profit on top of the shopping ads that you have right now, or 5 times the ROI from what you have right now. If you're not profitable already, by getting those things optimized, and then more so with that, going back to your keywords here. Identify the terms that are converting. Go into your search terms report on your Google Ads account under your shopping campaign. Find out the terms that worked. Find out some branch derivative terms that you think would work, and then work those in and hire a copywriter to work them into some sales copy that would naturally add use and utility for the user who sees the products, but then it's now going to get picked up by the algorithm and then have your product shown in more searches. Once they get good feedback and see that you can do well with that particular customer, you'll get shown more and more and more for those particular terms, and then obviously you have more opportunity to make more with your shopping ads. But those are the three things you want to do. That if you're making 50 grand a month on your shopping campaign right now, you'll make 250,000 a month just by doing and executing the three things that I said, and just kind of the way that I described it, because that's the way that I'm doing on all our shopping campaigns when we get them in here to improve them. Anyway, besides that, if you get the highest click-through rate in the world, that all won't matter if you're also getting the user to stick when they hit the page. So no matter what you do, no matter what, you still need a high impression per conversion, or is the way that I describe it, stats for everything to stick. So you get a 5% click-through rate, you're getting a lot more searches, you're showing up 3 or 4 or 5 times in the 8-pack, like I mentioned, that you can do if you optimize these three things. But if they get to your site and they don't convert at the rate at least as good as what your competition is mostly average converting at, and they can tell by seeing who goes back to Google, right after they get to your page and click on another ad or click on another organic listing, none of this stuff is going to matter. But it's easy to just optimize a page to get to where it converts as good. Even if it doesn't convert as good right now, you can add more product images to your gallery on products themselves. Obviously, you can just easily hire a photographer or a graphics designer to do that. You can add more reviews on your page. If you have 1 or 2 reviews, try adding 10. If you have 10, add 100. After you're at hundreds, it don't really matter, but that stuff really does matter. Clean layout. There's a thing called iFlow on a landing page or a product page that, in terms of what the user sees and how they see it and the order they see it on when they get to your page, and the optimization of that eliminates how much the user has to think to digest the information on the page, matters a lot on your conversion rate. If it's overwhelming to them, they'll leave, even if you have the best product in the world and you have a lot of images and reviews and so forth. Having too much white space, too little. Look up iFlow tracking case studies if you don't know what I'm referring to here, but that's also a big element in terms of the top 4 things. And the other, of course, is video. Hire somebody to do a video presentation of the products. And I've seen people it's not hard to do, obviously, and it has a huge impact if you actually do spend some funds doing this. Take the product, demonstrate it's being used, just standing there, and add that as a video on each product page that you have. Of course, this stuff does cost a lot of money, but if you can make another 200 grand a month in sales off your shopping campaign, no time, 2 or 3 months, you're going to have that back, right? So anybody can do these things, and you can't tell me you can't. And in terms of identifying, what the other conversion rates in your industry should be, you can find that out, compare it to your conversion rate on your product pages coming from your shopping campaigns. If you know you're not there, you should work on this first. Once you get it there, if you do these 3 things, then you will have the 5x difference in the shopping campaign ROI or profit that you're looking for. ROI increase if you're, of course, like I said, if you're not making really any money yet, and if you are making money, 5x in the actual amount of profit you're making from the shopping ads. So, and to summarize everything again, everything comes down to being different, and PPC is war. It's not about showing up and just doing what you think you need to do anymore to make money. It's about doing better than the competition. And with most people being fairly lazy, it doesn't take much more optimization on these things to come out ahead, and you'll be the one that gets most of the profit. There's 2 or 3 people in every niche that make most of the money with the ads. There might be 20 people that get recycled out in terms of the ads, 2 or 3 making all the money. 2 or 3 that are making all the money are just doing these little things right here, just paying attention to what works, doing them, and then, your competitors are going to be the one scratching their heads and saying, how do they afford to show up that many times? Just a common saying that I heard from other people before, but really because they went ahead and did this work, and most people aren't willing to do it. So do you want the money? be with the one willing to do this, you're going to get all the profit or most of it. You have 80% of the profit, or be the one that generates 2 or 3 that generates about 80% of the profit in your niche space. So, anyway, I think I covered everything pretty well here on this video. I will leave it with that. I have a lot of other videos about other PPC strategies and topics. I'm optimizing other different types of campaigns, display campaigns, search campaigns, Facebook ads, other, any and all different types of online advertising. You can also go to my blog on guaranteedppc.com. I have a lot of step-by-step money-making PPC strategies there you can review for yourself. But of course, I wish the best of luck to you. You try some of these things out and you have questions, post or comment. I'll be try to help you out there. And otherwise, I hope that I'm releasing a new video every day on PPC to go over the 15 years of experience I've had in doing PPC for clients and businesses that I've ran in the e-commerce space. And so you should subscribe and check out those videos. It's a whole wealth of education that's totally free to you, and actually not full of BS like too many other places are actually doing that don't have the experience to give you good advice like this to make money with your ads and make more than what most people are making with them.